Hello everybody and welcome back to the new and improved podcast from BDB, now labelled B2B NAV. We have with us this week, we have our Executive Creative Director John Halliwell.
Hello.
And we have our Head of Technology Ollie Brewood.
Hello.
So welcome back. We've had a bit of a break while we've been on various international travel duties, supporting clients at various exhibitions and events across Europe and the US. And for our first topic back this week, we wanted to discuss the power of integration, I'm going to call it. And to give some reference for the listeners, what we're talking about here is, I would say, the move, particularly in the agency and the Marcoms consultancy scene, back towards integrated services. So I think if you were to rewind 20 years, and this has happened across professional services and across a lot of different sectors, I guess. Everybody was a master of everything originally. And then over time, as services and technology evolved, people became more specialised outfits and specialised agencies, thinking of things like SEO, PPC, web development agencies, PR agencies. And people were very big to selling the merits of being a specialist in those areas, as opposed to being a jack of all trades, I guess if that's one way you could describe it. And then now you see more and more consolidation in the marketplace, I think is what we see, where people are coming back together to deliver integrated services. And we're seeing that particularly with people like Accenture and Deloitte consuming various agencies and communications consultancies to basically in-house that marketing and communications aspect back into the mix. I guess it's worth referencing from BDB's perspective, we've weathered the storm and always been integrated. So yes, we have a bias around this table, but coming from different agencies and different backgrounds, I think there's enough knowledge and experience around the table to kind of open up that dialogue. So I'm going to come to you first, John.
Okay.
Because you've got the most experience probably. What's your take on it? I guess at a high level to start with. What's your?
I think, and this is probably somewhat controversial, I don't actually think you get integrated services and integrated agencies. What you get is a set of disciplines that are brought together, and it's the team that's integrated.
Okay.
And if people start thinking about it that way, it becomes much more interesting, because once you integrate the skills of the individuals, you start to create a single unified solution, and you don't have multiple agendas from multiple departments. You start to have something that's actually focused on what the client wants rather than what the agency wants.
Yeah, and I guess that comes back to the conversations we've been having recently about making sure we're building client teams for skills rather than capacity or individuals or personality or profile or whatever it may be.
Yeah, and that integration comes through the people and how they interact and how they bring multiple skills together, rather than saying, I want SEO and I want some social and I want some PR. That doesn't work. What works is when you get a team together with a single problem to solve, and they each bring things to it, and you collectively define the solution rather than letting the tail wag the dog by service.
And I guess the challenge there as an agency owner, from my perspective, is when you're hiring for those skills and trying to bring those skills into your team, have you got enough throughput of work? Have you got enough volume to support those
individual skill sets?
If that makes sense as well. Yes, that's always a consideration alongside that.
I suppose that's where, I suppose it's where the generalist versus specialist kind of filters down. You need to start looking for people with range, who can build beyond one core skill that they're absolutely excellent at.
Sure.
They need to have a broader appreciation of multiple skills so that they can work with. So, for example, I don't know half the stuff Ollie knows about digital, but I think I've got a broad enough awareness of it that I can have a conversation with and appreciate the need for a website to be a certain way from a search perspective, from a user experience perspective.
And then flexing the expertise.
And I think that's what you need. You need these people who have got this kind of broader outlook on life, rather than I am the SEO guy, and that's all I do, and I love SEO.
And on that note, because I guess linked to you tend to see more silo-based specialist agencies these days, particularly in the digital arena. What's your top level take on it?
I can see why they exist. And I think I'd say there's room for everyone, and it really depends very much on, from the agency perspective, what kind of agency they want to run. In some cases, I know agencies that are specialists purely because that's their skill set, and they don't want to grow to be like offering lots of services, going out of their comfort zone. They know, in this particular case, LinkedIn advertising, so they don't want to go out there and explore all the different channels when they know that's a core skill set and they're happy running that focused agency. From a client perspective, some clients will have a larger marketing team, they're really on the ball, but they might not have somebody that knows SEO in-house. So from that point of view, they can manage everything. They just need somebody with that technical skill to carry out a particular project or set piece of work for a period of time, but they're happy managing everything else. So from that point of view, it makes sense to have that one person with a specialist, I suppose, helping out. A lot of our clients are in a position where, despite the fact that they are very large companies, don't have a huge marketing team. So they are very much more dependent on us to bring in that much wider array of skills. If they were going specialist, I would say it would probably be a lot harder for them because they'd be managing 20 plus agency relationships instead of one agency relationship where we sit in the middle, almost like a hub, to bring them all that skills and capability.
Because I guess the smaller opportunities are quite directional and quite linear, and you can be quite prescriptive with it. I think the problems that we see in those scenarios with clients when they come to us for integration or for integrated thinking,
It's bigger, gnarlier problems, isn't it?
Yeah, because I think the problems that we see regularly, and thinking back to the meeting I was in last week in Rotterdam, where they've worked with specialist agencies, and I use the term loosely because I mean more siloed agencies in terms of what they do, but in terms of where they've worked with them, but that integrated thinking hasn't been there, so they're not giving consideration to the brand, the messaging, the target audience,
multiple
the team,
agencies, multiple agendas, isn't it?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, where they go in and they deliver an SEO strategy, which might be to put frequently asked questions on your homepage. That will work for SEO, that will work.
But will it work for the brand, for the proposition? Does it tie in with what customers are looking for?
So it depends on the objective.
I think that's the biggest problem as well, is you think, or I always look at integration as a kind of a more strategic, consultative kind of part of the journey, because you have to think about every moving part.
Yeah.
And when you start dealing with specialist agencies, and it's not always the case, but they tend to be more functional, more do-orientated, more reactive to, I have this need, please resolve it, rather than I have a problem.
They have a need, don't they, to prove their return on investment on their activity.
Yeah.
So that's all they're obsessed with. So if I'll keep coming back to SEO, but that's only because it's just an easy one to pick out. But an SEO agency, if you appoint an SEO agency, they want to prove their worth and their return on investment on that SEO at any cost, arguably.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And in theory, that should work, but could that budget be used better elsewhere? Even if that SEO is returning, should they be using that on a different channel instead, whether it's digital or something else that could be potentially returning better? That agency, even if they deliver a great campaign that returns your investment to a level that you're happy with, could it be doing better elsewhere? That SEO agency won't recommend that. They won't know it.
I mean, SEO is an easy one to pick on because it's always at the beginning of the buying cycle. You just don't know.
Got a couple of others we can pick on as well.
I'm sure you will, but you know what I mean? It's so far. I'm not defending it either. I just think it's kind of, it supports your point of they've just got an agenda of whether it's impressions, whether it's page views. They're not thinking beyond that point to, okay, I've got this person kind of interested.
Yeah.
What next? How do I now take that conversation one stage further? Whereas I think the power of an integrated agency, or someone who's looking at it more holistically and strategically, is they'll think, okay, point one, bait hook. Point two, catch fish. Now what?
Yeah.
Get fish out of water and do something with it, rather than leave fish on hook in water.
The other two examples that we see continually, I think, is websites. And exhibition stands at the minute, because that's very poignant for us because we've got lots of opportunities in those areas. But with the exhibition stand side of things, so a client that would go to a stand designer, which probably does design and build, probably. But sometimes it can be sort of stand designer, stand builder, and the stand builder goes and delivers that stand for them, and they'll design it because they want something loosely that's based on last year, pretty much, I would say, most of the time.
Well, they'll use the brand guidelines. It'll be vanilla. It will probably be quite white, it'll probably be quite blue, and it'll kind of follow a theme.
But the test there for that exhibition stand builder is that stand built on time? Is it working? Is it operational?
Within budget, and does the coffee machine work?
Exactly. No, but they're the practicalities of the stand. It's important. If your stand isn't there on stand day, you've got a problem.
Yeah, but they're not thinking before, during, after. What happens? How do I get people on stand? Not their problem. They don't care.
Are they trying to get people on stand? That's what it's
not
all
their
comes down to
problem.
the objectives, doesn't it? Though,
Yeah. And then afterwards, what do I do with all the people that were on stand during those 4 or 5, whatever, how many days of the event? I mean, it's not my problem. My problem now is get the strike down done, get all
the
my
dishwasher's
kit,
not working.
get all my kit back to my storeroom and build my next stand. I don't really care about the marketing return of that exhibition. Whereas the integrated agency's got that holistic view and thinks overall, doesn't necessarily have to take responsibility for the stand build, doesn't necessarily have to take responsibility for stand design, but is thinking and fitting it into this longer term jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah,
Sure.
And from a web development agency point of view, that doesn't mean you're not going to get the best website you could have possibly got, because they could well deliver that if they take the time to understand your business and really make sure that you're getting the website you need. Then yes, you could very well end up with the best site you could have possibly got. But during that process, you're not necessarily being consulted in terms of what else you could be doing, what else could be going on after the website, how can it be communicated, which could end up feeding back into extra things that you do.
Yeah.
Because they're just focused on doing that one aspect.
Yeah.
I think it's important to stress there's good and bad examples of this. So you can get the website, you can get a great web development agency that will
interrogate the brief properly.
That will go those extra steps. So we're not kicking anybody here. It's just an observation that we see quite often and quite commonly applied across our clients.
I think because they're seen as easy, self-contained projects, aren't they?
That's
things you can pick out and go.
In those spaces, don't you? So.
We've got a shitty website. Let's rebuild it.
Yeah.
We've got a stand we need. That's a single-use project rather than part of a longer-term.
But I also think in the agency, so you went in the siloed specialist agencies, you end up with everybody's got opinions. I don't think we're short of those in the creative space, but in the sense of those opinions that are being offered aren't necessarily expert opinions. So by that I mean there might be an expert developer, an expert web builder, front end, back end, whatever, and they'll comment on brand and they'll comment on copy and they'll comment on things like that. But then they're not experts in that.
They might not know the why behind it either. That's the thing, when you do get thrown, parachuted into either save the day or handle a single project, you'll typically, a specialist agent will be handed a set of brand guidelines, the incumbent agency will be sat on the side sniping, and it just doesn't work. It's self-defeating in terms of getting the best out of people. So I think if you are, a lead agency working with specialists, you've got to be open. You've kind of got to be more have more humility to actually work with.
But I think you do at times in a full service agency because you have that depth of talent and expertise to lean back on, like you said right at the start. So in the sense of if Ollie's in a conversation, it starts taking a brand direction.
I'll run away and I'll get John.
No, you can hold that. Like John said for what John said earlier, you can hold your own conversation around it. You've got enough awareness to open a dialogue around it. And you also know when to call in the experts when you need them. And I think in a lot of the silo specialist agencies, they just don't have that depth of team. So they end up offering the advice themselves maybe, or, which even creates even further issues, of introducing another person around the table, which might be a brand agency working with a web agency, working with a content and copy agency, working with whatever, it goes on and on. And then suddenly you've got 4 or 5 people around the table, all with strong opinions are getting their own areas. And that, for the client, from a client's perspective, I think doesn't lead to great client service because even if they're working as the most cohesive team ever, it's not that same entity with that same goal and that same purpose.
I think it's like if you flip it from the client's perspective, I can absolutely get the whole I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket argument. But equally, I don't.
Can you? I don't know.
Yeah, I can. Spread risk, isn't it? If one agency goes bump, or you have an issue with one part of your comms process, it's easy to cut that one out and move on. But the flip side of that is you'll never get that truly kind of integrated depth of knowledge that working with a single partner over a long period of time. And we as an agency are blessed with having clients who've been with us for 10 plus years, on retained relationships. So we get to know them, we know them as well as they know themselves, hopefully. And that gives us an ability to advise and counsel and give them more than just a reactive service of, you want this. We can say, yeah, absolutely, we can deliver that, but also we can fit it into a wider plan because we understand what your objectives are over a longer period of time.
I'm going to try throwing a really random analogy at
Please do.
Let me know if it works or not. But I was reading
You'll
the
know
other
the edit. You don't know the edit, by the way. So.
Yeah.
So I was reading the other day about Adam Smith, who was an 18th century philosopher who was talking about capitalism. And it's basically saying that if capitalism basically encourages everybody to do their best. So it's people will go to the same baker again and again because they're working hard to make the best bread, so that you buy more of their bread, so you're getting on doing service there. Same for the butcher. But then who's making sandwiches? Somebody's got to be tied all together. So by being involved in multiple areas, you get to tie things together and create something truly amazing. Everybody loves a sandwich.
Yeah.
Do you know where you're heading there? In-house. That's the next stage there, isn't it?
Flipping the conversation, I guess, because that's one of the things I wanted to touch on today was we've been quite agency focused so far, I guess, so from the perspective of the service provider. From a client's perspective, how do you encourage integration across your own business? Because I appreciate we might have to talk about scale of client to start with. Are you a owner-managed entrepreneurial SME UK based, or are you a global business with teams spread across the world? But I think one of the things we do see across a lot of our clients is not a lack of integration, but a difficulty with integrating the
I think it's
elements.
an acceptance of it. It's kind of like, I suppose, if as an agency you're introduced to a client through a specific contact, then you kind of are wedded to that individual.
Yeah.
And you've already got that problem of, well, that's not my guy, or
Yeah.
prove yourself, rather than that, okay, let's work on this together. There's always kind of that stand back with the large.
But even within their own
organisations.
teams, sometimes with clients of a certain scale, you've got so many different stakeholders, you've got so many different areas being owned by, so digital might be one arm of their marketing team sat in Europe, and you could have, I don't know, the tech team sat in the US or whatever it is.
We actually had a similar example. I won't name the client, but we were working with the comms team there, and we were working on an SEO project in that case. But then when it came to actually implementing it, it was going to be implemented by their in-house digital team, who had no idea who we were, didn't know we existed, and didn't know what we were doing. So there's a bit of an issue there, just from the point of view of it's not helping result in the outcome that will work best for them, because you're not talking to each other and things aren't working together.
And is it as simple as better communication can fix that kind of thing, or are there any kind of tips, tricks, best practice that you guys have seen over the years to encourage that kind of cohesive integration at a client side?
I suppose it starts with the annual brand planning, doesn't it? You know, bringing everyone in rather than starting on high and just letting it drip down. It's kind of give everyone an invested interest in that plan and an ability to contribute to it.
So you need a lot of
and including the agency. So from my experience, where it works best is when we are sat around the table with the client as equals.
Sure.
And a problem is put in the middle of whether that problem is we want to increase market share, we want to stop attrition, we want to launch this product in the next one, whatever it is, doesn't matter. It's in the centre. And you just speak openly about it and work together, rather than agency meets client and client says, I want this, this, this and this over the next 12 months, please. Doesn't really work. It works, it'll happen, but you don't get the benefit. You pay an agency for a reason. So utilise them and get the best out.
I'd say not getting it. If you don't have the agency involved initially, then it probably lends itself more to having specialist agencies in a way.
Yeah, it's that reactive, proactive.
I need this service to help in this area that we've already planned out. So I'll just pass out SEO as it's our go-to example.
Yeah.
I think if you want to, and I think the issue you've got there is with specialist agencies, you do tend to pay a premium because they're specialist in a certain field.
So we unpick that one. Do you think they are specialists?
I think with any of this, it depends on the agency. You're going to get examples of integrated agencies that are terrible, and you're going to get specialist agencies. I know I've worked with some of them that just don't deliver what they're supposed to do. So I think it really comes down to
I think it's the honesty of the individuals in that agency. Because you're right. I mean, I've come across plenty of brand specialists that are not. It's
Probably down a Jedi guru route.
it's prompt print in a different hat.
Thankfully, I don't think it happens so much anymore, but there's so many, you'll have all heard about SEO agencies in the past that have got a really bad rap. I'd say late 2009 sort of era. That's really specific, but like somewhere between 2005 2010, you had a lot of people doing sort of black hat, grey hat stuff that was eventually, as Google and other search engines started updating them, started having knock-on effects with clients and things like that. But I think that kind of led to a kind of a bit of a bad rep. Bad rap is that there were quite a few agencies cutting corners to get that kind of short-term result.
Yeah. So I guess regardless of your agency choice, regardless of your partner choice, integration is what we're encouraging here, isn't it? Across the different.
I think it's the people integration, and if you can find as a client, if you can find an agency that mirrors the way that you work and integrate as a business, that will work better for you.
Yeah.
I think. You don't want an agency coming in and saying, well, we do this, 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 and this, and then you meet 5 different sets of people for each function.
No, but it truly is delivering a top-down business planning approach, isn't it? I guess is what we're really saying here, because we see a lot of clients where it fails badly, where they go too territory-specific, and I want to say bottom-up, but literally they do start with the tactic that they do every year,
and then
whatever it may be, and they spend the budget on that tactic in individual territories, and that whole integrated thinking piece that they all sat there in a sales and marketing kind of day or forum or whatever it may be. And most companies tend to do this. I think getting the sales and marketing teams together annually to kind of discuss these kind of topics. It's just, is it a waste of time, frankly? Because by the time they've left that room on the day, they're going to go back to doing the individual tactics. They always were.
It needs kind of that ongoing contact. Particularly if the integration's being driven client side, then you definitely need them to have regular ongoing meetings with genuine purpose and buy-in to make sure that they actually know why they're doing it.
Which does come down to the tone at the top of the business that doesn't know who's driving it, who's owning that agenda. Because if that isn't a priority, it won't happen, will it?
I think people avoid integration because it's hard. It's tough to get everyone in a room focused on the same thing at the same time. It's like herding cats.
Yeah.
Whereas it's really easy to go, oh shit, I need to do something. I need to spend that chunk of change, or I need to show some uplift in visitors. I'm just going to throw money at LinkedIn or SEO. I'll get a shot in the arm. I'll hit my objective. Job done. But it won't have
that's why I think it takes that tone at the top, though, to understand that, to unpick that, and to set the strategy right from the outset, the integrated strategy, so you can actually genuinely deliver on those business goals, as opposed to wanting to spend your marketing budget so you can get the same thing next year, or wanting to look like you've had a little bit of.
So I think that's why marketing ends up getting a bad rap, particularly among salespeople, because you spend a lot of time doing a lot of things and spending a lot of money, and you don't always have something tangible to show for it, and that's usually because you've not set yourself up to have something to show for it.
And I guarantee we'll talk about this again, because we always end up coming back to this, but that integration, you're right, sales and marketing, that's the key one, and that's these kind of planning meetings which work really well, where you do have sales and you do have marketing in the same room, because you can almost guarantee that what marketing want to achieve and what sales want to achieve are diametrically opposed in terms of the way they articulate it, but everyone just wants to sell more stuff, and it's our job to kind of, I guess, marshal those two kind of opposing forces into some sort of coalition.
Okay, I think we are running out of time, so shall we go down the route of key takeaways? Ollie, have you got anything, key thoughts on this matter?
I'll just reiterate that last point, which is whether you're great sandwiches, just focus on great sandwiches. Whether you're the one putting those ingredients together, or whether it's being done by your favourite sandwich maker. Make sure somebody's putting those ingredients together.
Nice. I'm not even sure I can follow that.
I don't think
I
it's hard to follow.
I suppose, that's important, but you also need someone that understands how to blend the flavours and put the special sauce on top, carrying the analogy on. And a specialist will only, I don't always want mayo on my sandwiches. I might want a little bit of chive or some cheese on there. So you need a broader outlook, don't you?
Full Subway chain.
Well, it's nearly lunchtime.
It's definitely food on the brain here. I want to move away from food. I think for me...
Never podcast when you're hungry.
It would definitely come down to qualifying your supplier at the most basic level. So regardless of whether they are a specialist, or regardless of whether they're integrated or full service, or however they describe themselves, take those reference points, qualify them, see who they work with, see the longevity of the relationships, the quality of the work that they produce, because regardless of what they are, there's good and bad available in the marketplace, is what I would say. So choosing the right thing and engaging with those right individuals
And make sure
is
it
absolutely
blends
critical.
with you as a business. I think,
Yeah.
you know, while we're, you know, I think we've got a vested interest in being an integrated agency, that we know integrations, for us it works really well, but also equally, you might be the type of organisation that it's not going to work for you.
Sure.
And actually, if you are that sort of kind of, I guess, of the moment, not thinking long term, you just need shots in the arm. Sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, don't waste your time and another agency's time. Look for what is right for what you need to achieve.
Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode of the first new episode of B2B NAV. You can find us on all the main podcast platforms. Why have we called it B2B NAV? Because ultimately we're trying to help our clients and prospects navigate the ever-changing B2B marketing landscape. You can find complementary content on our content hub, which is www.b2bknowledge.com. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's rattle that off quite nicely. Have a check out on there. We've got, I think, 7 editions on there so far. Plenty of blog content. And yeah, if you've got any ideas or any content, please feel free to comment. And we'll be back on with a weekly release until we all go missing again. So thanks very much, everybody, and speak to you next week. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye bye.